Welcome to Out of the Blue number 6. Today we are touching on another subject. Here we have Splendor of the Heavens, which is a 2-volume astronomy book. Astronomy means the study of skies, the stars. So this is a science book. 2 volumes. 1925. Robert McBride and Company. I meant to point this out. It says here, a popular authoritative astronomy. So we're going to look at volume 2. And we're looking at this section on what they called spiral nebulae. I'm going to read this line here, page 584. It says, all evidence which has been accumulated during recent years is in favor of placing the spiral nebulae in a class by themselves, for which we have no analogies either in the solar system or the Milky Way. Now, first of all, accumulated during recent years, this is Hubble, who was studying the spiral nebulae. Hubble, who the Hubble Space Telescope is named after. Here's a picture of a spiral nebulae. Here's some spiral nebulae. Spiral nebulae. And so it was Hubble who first proposed the idea that these might be other galaxies. But this was a new idea, because at first they thought these spiral nebulae were within our galaxy. And now we know that Hubble was right. The guy who opposed Hubble does not have a space telescope named after him. So now we know that here's a common book, Peterson's Guide to Stars and Planets. Same pictures, pictures of the same things, more modern photographs, spiral galaxies. So now we know that they actually are galaxies. And this completely changes our view of the universe and our place in it. Because back in Hubble's day, when Hubble was growing up, they just thought the Milky Way galaxy was the universe, and that all these things we saw were in the Milky Way galaxy. And now we know we have our closest neighbor, the Andromeda galaxy. Now we know that we are a galaxy, we are in a galaxy, and we have neighboring galaxies. This is a huge idea. Huh? So the idea that we are one galaxy amongst many is now entering into common knowledge. And I call this idea galactic awareness. And it is not really foreign to anybody these days in the modern world, because Apple computers, for example, their default screensaver is a galaxy. Depends which model you get, but there's an Andromeda galaxy, there's all kinds of galaxies on the screensaver of all kinds of computers. So galactic awareness is a reality of the time we are in right now. Now I am going to put down the Peterson's Guide to the Stars and Planets, and I'm going to pick back up Sarah Winnemuca's book. And this is, I understand that this might seem like unconnected, unrelated subjects, but it is actually very much connected. So, how I'm going to tie together all these threads, you'll have to wait and see, because the threads we have started so far are Swedenborg, and Swedenborg, under the Swedenborg heading we have spiritualism, J. Hewitt Mackenzie, we have here at Carrington, all kinds of interesting things, but that all falls under the Swedenborg heading. And yesterday, or earlier in this episode, I talked about Hubble, which is astronomy, the study of the stars, the heavens. And here I am quoting Sarah Winnemuca. Now that's a strange group to group together, but it all fits. And also there's I had my friends the machine tools on, and so that's the setting that we're in, because I'm in Chicago, and I'm in the Chicago music scene. But let's stick with Sarah Winnemuca for a while. Then we'll go back to Winnemuca Park. Now, Winnemuca is another personality in this whole story. Winnemuca Park is named after a person, Winnemuca. And if you look at the Battle of Chicago and the War of 1812, Winnemuca figures prominently in that. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to read the beginning of Sarah Winnemuca's book, Life Among the Paiutes, First Meeting of Paiutes and Whites. Sarah Winnemuca says, I was born somewhere near 1844, but I'm not sure of the precise time. I was a very small child when the first white people came into our country. They came like a lion, yes, like a roaring lion, and have continued so ever since, and I have never forgotten their first coming. My people were scattered at that time over nearly all the territory now known as Nevada. My grandfather was chief of the entire Paiute nation, and was camped near Humboldt Lake with a small portion of his tribe, when a party traveling eastward from California was seen coming. When the news was brought to my grandfather, he asked what they looked like. When told that they had hair on their faces and were white, he jumped up and clasped his hands together and cried aloud, My white brothers, my long-looked-for white brothers have come at last. He immediately gathered some of his leading men and went to the place where the party had gone into camp. Arriving near them, he was commanded to halt in a manner that was readily understood without an interpreter. Grandpa at once made signs of friendship by throwing down his robe and throwing up his arms to show he had no weapons, but in vain. They kept him at a distance. He knew not what to do. He had expected so much pleasure in welcoming his white brothers to the best in the land, that after looking at them sorrowfully for a little while, he came away quite unhappy. But he would not give up so easily. He took some of his most trustworthy men and followed them day after day, camping near them at night and traveling in sight of them by day, hoping in this way to gain their confidence. But he was disappointed, poor dear old soul. I can imagine his feelings, for I have drank deeply from the same cup. When I think of my past life and the bitter trials I have endured, I can scarcely believe I live, and yet I do. And with the help of him who notes the sparrows fall, I mean to fight for my downtrodden race while time lasts. Seeing they would not trust him, my grandfather left them, saying, Perhaps they will come again next year. Well, yes, they did come again the following year. And it's a long, sad story, but the story is not over. And today is the 12th of April. We're going to go back to Winnemuca Park and see how the flowers are doing. Speaking of flowers, this is tulip. Not a flower, but named after a flower. Hi, Tulip. Say something. Tulip likes to squeak. Oh! See that? Look at that. Come on. Be nice. That's not nice. Be nice. Okay, that's a little nicer. Winnemuca Park, April 12th, 2015. Well, I had hoped to go to Winnemuca Park and show the first flowers of the season, and the only flowers I found were on that little sign. But we will watch that patch grow. There are other flowers growing. There's some daffodils sprouting. There goes the train. The elm. That would be the red line. We're on Sunnyside Ave, as I just said. So anyway, there were no flowers growing in that patch, so we'll follow that patch. But there's another thread in this Visine, and it's the Magic History thread. So we are on Sunnyside Avenue. We're at 1910, 1912, and right about here, 1914, 1916 is the home of Harlan Tarbell. So the Magic History thread includes Harlan Tarbell. Harlan Tarbell is the author of the Tarbell Course in Magic, and if you look at the first edition, you'll see his address is right back there. The building is gone now, but that's where it was. Harlan Tarbell is part of our narrative. And now let's look at what we have going on here. Where is it? That big sign, LFC, the Lycée, the French school. They're just building this French school. The French school is moving to this neighborhood. And now, just like the thread of the galaxy, galactic awareness, connecting that with Sarah Winnemuca, those are two ideas that seem quite distant. Here we have a thread of Harlan Tarbell in the French school. So the French school is being built. See, it's all the construction site. It's opening next year. The French school is being built in Harlan Tarbell's neighborhood. What does that mean? Stay tuned and find out. Lycée. It's pronounced Lycée. French